If you open Netflix and you don't know what to watch, this video is for you. But if you are interested in mysterious, supernatural, dark magic, mind-bending series, you must watch this video. Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Important and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please do consider subscribing if you have not. Without wasting much of your time, let's go. Number 7, we have Manifest. This is a mysterious and supernatural series. It's about a plane crash that disappeared for 5 years. And when this plane crash came back, the people didn't age and the people didn't know that they actually disappeared. They thought it was a normal, flight, and they came back and they were like, you were gone for 5 years. And they were like, what? Where were we? And the people are asking, where were you? Because we thought you were dead. And they also came back with supernatural powers and questions and abilities, and it's a lot, So please, I highly recommend this. Moving on, The Gift. It's a very interesting series that is about a woman who connects to a symbol that connects her to ancient history. It's very interesting, very spiritual, and also very mysterious. I highly recommend this, especially for people who are interested in, spiritual things, historic things, or gifts like, spiritual gifts, It's very, very good. I love it. And moving on, it's Moses. Ooh, I loved this story, and it's actually about a biblical history, biblical story that Moses from the Bible. So if you're interested in spiritual things or maybe religious things, but I really find this interesting because it's almost like it's showing you the behind the scenes of Moses, the things that were never really talked about in the Bible. Like, you can actually feel what Moses was feeling, almost like that. Nobody knows that deeper understanding of who Moses was, how he felt, and people around him and the community and what happened and his life story. It was very like watching a documentary about Moses, it almost felt like that. I highly recommend. And we move on to Queen Cleopatra. I love this one, especially as a girl. Like, it's obviously about Queen Cleopatra and the history of Egypt and when she was ruling Egypt and everything that happens, relationships, her power, the drama, the dynamics of, what happened in ancient Egypt. And, it's also a documentary plus a drama also. I really loved it, especially for the girls. You're like, yes, queen, yes, girl, yes. So I highly also recommend this, especially if you are interested in African history and you really want to know what actually happened, before all of this. And we move on to The OA. This is very deep and very strange, but in a good way. It's about a girl who disappeared and she came back with a very strange story, It's filled with mystery and spiritual and, just deep stuff. I highly recommend it, especially for people who are, spiritual and they want to understand what actually happened. It's a very deep and strange movie, but in a very good way that will literally force you to think and question a lot of things, because I'm one of those people who actually believe that there is a lot of truth, behind these movies. Now we move on to Dark. Now this is the most confusing but the most smartest series on Netflix. It's about time travel, but not in the way that you think. And you really need to focus when you're watching this movie. You really need to be in there. It's that type of movie that you can never miss 1 second. I highly recommend. I literally finished watching this series 4 days ago, and I'll tell you this for free. I'm gonna rewatch it maybe 2 weeks or a month from now, because I feel like it's that type of movie that you can never really understand or grasp the concept from watching it once. You need to watch it 7, 8, 10 times for you to actually get it. It's actually very mind bending. It makes you want to pause and say, what is happening? Does time travel exist? You actually want to Google what are they saying? Does this exist? You're gonna say, are we in a parallel universe? Is there a version of me that is in 1946 right now? Do I exist in another world? This is my best. The last one we are going to talk about today is the chilling adventures of Sabrina. Now I'll give you a warning. If you're someone who still fears demons, I'm telling you right now, do not watch this. Do not, because this movie, Lucifer is actually acting. They're actually going to hell and talking to demons, Beelzebub, and it's about a girl, a teenage girl who is a half witch and half human, and she is now divided. Like she belongs to both worlds, the witch world and the human world. Like, and they are literally praying to Lucifer. That's why I'm telling you that if you believe that you can be attached to demons just by watching a series, do not. If you're more spiritual, but not in a way that you fear things, you fear demons, you fear Lucifer, you fear things, you are interested in acquiring knowledge of what is happening in the spiritual realm. Because the only way that you can defeat the devil is by studying the devil. And I believe that Sabrina might actually be your stepping stone on trying to understand what we consider to be the devil or the dark world and how it actually happens. It will also enlighten you in a lot of things. But if you have to ask me what is my favorite, I would say Dark is number one amongst all these. Dark was like mind-blowing. And number two, I would say Sabrina. You can answer. For me, those are my two top picks. These are my Netflix recommendations. Please let me know, what have you watched and which one are you going to watch first?